In November of 2023, the Swell Pod took a 10-day journey across 5 states, traveling 3,580 miles with one challenge in mind.
And that challenge was to interview 100 pleasantly rebellious humans to uncover deep truths about what it takes to create something that has never existed before, challenge the status quo, maybe even change the world.
This is the Kiln Road Trip, created and produced by the Swell Pod.
In partnership with Kiln, Moterra Camper Vans, and sponsored by Taurus.
I'm Spencer McKeown.
And I'm Josh Taylor, and together we're the co-hosts of the Swell Pod and your guides on the Kiln Road Trip. Follow along on the journey.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, follow the Swell Pod on social media, and subscribe to your YouTube channel at, you guessed it, the Swell Pod.
This is interview 90 of the Kiln Road Trip, and today we're at Kiln Leucadia in California talking with Alex Pottash. Alex is the founder and CEO of Forgotten Skincare. Forgotten Skincare develops solutions for common skin concerns that are often overlooked. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you enjoy. Today we have Alex Pottash, and we are the Swell Pod on the Kiln Road Trip, journey to 100 interviews. And you are one of the 100.
Yay.
Yeah.
And if you are in the 90s, that's pretty cool. That's the last leg.
Yeah, it'd be cool to be number 100, but I'm cool with the 90s.
Yeah. But yeah, if you can, just introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Yeah, my name's Alex Pottash. I'm the founder and CEO of Forgotten Skincare, and we make skincare for your forgotten areas.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting. How long have you been doing that?
So I started researching for the brand in 2018. And during that time, I was working in pharmaceutical advertising, specifically search engine marketing. Are you familiar with Google and digging into search data? So I spent my days looking at what questions people had and how I could help better answer them on behalf of the pharmaceutical companies. And so when I wanted to start my own business, I knew that the search data was a great place to start because I can uncover a white space there.
Smart.
So I found that there were hundreds of thousands of searches a month for dark underarms. Okay, you're making that noise like, I've never heard of that before, probably.
I haven't searched it, but if a lot of people are searching for it,
Right,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people looking for it, but it's really something that a lot of people don't talk about, don't know about. And that includes the beauty industry too. There's not a lot of brands out there that are addressing this really common skin concern. So I wanted to create something that would help people with this can feel embarrassing skin concern and create something that met where they were at, which is vegan, cruelty-free, free from harsh synthetic ingredients like hydroquinone. So I worked with a lab and created the product, and people loved it, and they were asking where else on their bodies could they put this amazing formula. One of the areas was inner thighs, and so that got me thinking, hey, there's all these areas of the body that just aren't often addressed and are overlooked, and so that's how the name and brand Forgotten Skincare came to be.
That's clever, isn't it?
Very smart, yeah.
It's
Thank
cool
you.
that it's data informed, right? That's where part of the story came from. Why is it that no one addressed it then before? Is it just, why?
So this skin concern is really common, but it often addresses women and often people with more melanin in their skin.
Right.
And the beauty industry primarily has been very focused on serving people that are primarily white.
Yeah.
And it's often overlooked. And with the Black Lives Matter movement, there's been a lot more focus on people of color skin concerns. But this is just one that has kind of flown under the radar, and it just is underserved. And so I think that is why there hasn't been anything out there mainstream. Also, this is the type of concern that a lot of people go to their dermatologist for treatment, and it's often prescribed by dermatologists treated with a chemical called hydroquinone. And when you use this chemical hydroquinone on your skin for long periods of time, it can cause permanent cell death. And it can change your skin tone permanently. And in people of color, it can, with more melanin, it can change the color to like a bluish tint. So you really can only use it for a short period of time, about 3 months. So I just wanted to create something that was not that and didn't have those type of adverse effects.
So major gap.
Major gap.
And misdiagnosed, in a way, being given something that was actually damaging, from from a doctor, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really effective formula or ingredient rather, hydroquinone, but there just are natural ways to treat it. You don't have to use that. And I think when you go to a dermatologist, you know, they're going to prescribe you something that they know and has the science behind it. If you go to a surgeon, you know, they're going to prescribe surgery, you know, it just like, that's how it works.
Yeah. How do you go about, so you realize that there's this opportunity, like the fact that you have to work with a lab and develop your ingredients and your formula, that's a very interesting part of the process. Like, how do you even start that, and how do, you know, I don't know, like, tell me about that part of your journey.
Okay. Yes. So I found a lab through a colleague. He actually was my client when I was working in pharmaceutical advertising. And he started his own hair care brand, and he had a lab that he really liked and was working with, and he referred me. So I bought a book on ingredients, and I read every ingredient, and I tried to find something that could be a natural alternative to hydroquinone. And I came across bearberry extract, and there are a few other ingredients that I included as well. Vitamin C, caprylyl salicylic acid. So these are all ingredients that are gentle on the skin, but can help even out skin tone. So I worked with the lab. They actually sent over a formulation, and because I'm not my customer and because, you know, I didn't have dark underarms, I didn't really know whether it was a good formulation or not. So I just started selling it. I set up a Shopify, and I put like a few $1,000 into it, and I just got consumer feedback, and I just got lucky. Like, the consumers loved it, people loved it, and it worked. And the formula hasn't changed. So I think, you know, with the research and working with a reputable lab that knew what they were doing, I just was able to launch the first iteration. That hasn't been the case for the products that have followed it, but the first one I kind of got lucky.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And what, I guess, what challenges? So you had, you know, the customers loved it, but have you had any challenges through this process? Anything that maybe taught you, or you learned maybe an important lesson from?
There's been a ton of challenges. I think that with skincare, a lot of things can go wrong. So, you know, one of those things was the packaging, and I can actually just show you. You know, one of my later formulations, it has this problem called bottle paneling. You might see it. That still it happens to a lot of bottles. You might see them on shelves. Yeah, it's like this sucked in look where it looks like the air has escaped, because the air has escaped. This is totally sealed off at the top. Induction sealed at the top. So it's just something as like a new skincare founder, like I wouldn't know to foresee this. I wouldn't know how to really address it. And a lot of times it happens to even companies that have all the insight and knowledge to avoid this problem. But this is just the kind of thing where you're like, oops, like this happened, but it doesn't affect the formula, and it just makes our bottles look a little funky. But challenges like this pop up all the time, like things that you just you're not able to foresee with the packaging. The other, you know, one of the more earlier instances of this is when I launched the first formula, I put it in a jar and it would explode in the mail. So customers would get it and it would just be like gross and messy all over the inside of the packaging. So I think packaging has been the biggest challenge. And it just will continue to be a challenge. It's like not something that I foresee ever not being something that's challenging.
Let me have a look at this.
Yeah.
So what was the solution to stop that?
So that's called bottle paneling, and the solution, I mean, there's a few solutions. One of the solutions is like coating the inside with a chemical to stop the gases from escaping. I don't know if that's the solution I'm going to take. It might be just changing the packaging altogether. But now that you've seen this, now when you go to the supermarket or something, you're going to be like, oh, that's bottle paneling. Like it happens all the time to products. Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm going to think about that all the time now.
Yeah, you're going to see it.
And I always thought someone had used it.
No.
That's a great packaging. And what are the customers say? What are customers saying? Obviously, you've got loads of good feedback, but what impacts is it having?
My customers say, thank you so much for helping me and millions of other women like me. I can't believe that there's something out there that exists for me for this problem. And I'm so happy. Thank you, Forgotten Skincare. I mean, those are like direct things that I hear from my customers because they just feel seen and heard.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
Very good, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. It's incredible. It's a big space right now too, right? Health and wellness and e-commerce. So are you still on Shopify or?
Yeah, I'm on Shopify. We've expanded into a few retailers.
Cool.
That's really been my focus over the next few years. Like the next year or two, you'll hopefully, knock on wood, see me in a few more retailers. I'm in Macy's, Urban Outfitters, Amazon, and my website.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So are you kind of always looking into SEO right now, still looking at some of those other gaps?
Absolutely.
Trying to find your next product?
That is going to be, that's really an integral part of my business.
Yeah.
And that's my background. That's where I feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
That's where I think a lot of my ideas originate still. And just to keep up with SEO, we're doing blog posts. Everything that we post on social media is keyword researched, and everything in TikTok, we're putting like the keywords in the background of our videos to try to show up more frequently. Hot tip.
I would love to like pick your brain for like an hour.
No problem.
So you have a story related to Kiln.
Oh yeah, we need
to. This is that moment to tell that story.
Okay. So how I got here, I'm from Philly, not from the West Coast. And so my husband and I, his name's Alan, he got a remote job. We decided to put our stuff in storage. We don't have a van, but we used our car, and we just we traveled up to Maine first. We love nature, so we wanted to hike Leucadia. And then we just made our way across country, and we ended up in Salt Lake City because we both snowboard. So we wanted to just hit up all the mountains this past winter. And then we joined the Kiln, which is beautiful in Salt Lake City. It's like an epic place to work. I loved it so much. And they had one small sign above the desk, and it was a picture of a beach, and it had the words Carlsbad, Solana Beach, Encinitas. And I was like, the weather was super dreary and dark, and it was like that spitting rain that just was all winter in Salt Lake. And I was like, the beach looks nice. Let's go there. And so we literally just got in our car and drove here and joined the Kiln in Carlsbad. Or I guess we belong to all of them. And the beach has been nice. Yeah. So that's the story. We literally followed the Kiln. So
we're connected.
That's it.
We're connected. The three of us.
We're all following Kiln.
Your husband.
Yeah.
We're growing.
We're all followers. Yeah.
Wherever their next one is, I'm sure we'll be there.
It sounds like I'm advertising, but we said that Arian, the co-founder, interviewed us on the stage or the send-off for this road trip, and so it kind of feels like it was designed and made for us,
Yeah.
Because new opportunities, this one wouldn't have existed. You might have done it anyway, maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Before we get into the rest of the episode, we want to thank the partners and sponsors who made the Kiln Road Trip possible. The Kiln Road Trip is brought to you by Kiln. Kiln is a boutique co-working and flex office community with 13 locations in 6 states across the West, dedicated to providing innovative workspaces that empower your team to thrive. Whether you're a solo visionary or an enterprise-level team of up to 100, Kiln transcends being merely a place to work. It's a hub for learning and connecting with like-minded professionals that will make you and your team love where you work.
And if you haven't stepped foot inside a kiln yet, you really need to. On this road trip, we visited every single location, and trust us when we say once you see these beautifully designed spaces, meet the talented team, and connect with fellow members, you won't want to work anywhere else.
Locations include Utah, Colorado, Idaho, Oregon, California, and Arizona. And they're growing too, with multiple locations set to open in 2024.
Yeah, so be sure to check out the Kiln locations nearest you by booking a tour at kiln.com and answer Swell in the question, how did you hear about us? Once you complete the tour, you'll be entered into a competition where you could win a 1-year membership, their club membership at Kiln.
Yep, you heard that. That's kiln.com, book a tour, and be sure to mention Swell in the question, how did you hear about us?
The Kiln Road Trip is also brought to you by Moterra Campervans, a luxury campervan rental company for iconic road trips. Their top-of-the-line vans are available at 7 locations located near America's best outdoor adventure destinations. They have consistently earned the highest customer ratings in the industry, making Moterra campervans your gateway to adventure without sacrificing on comfort or service.
That's true, and initially we wanted to take this journey in a 1960s VW bus, but thankfully we found Moterra instead. With 3 van options, we took the Pop Top Classic, which sleeps 4 and is best for those who want to maximize floor space and storage. This was critical for us because it needed to sleep the entire crew, we needed space to edit, and we were traveling with large amounts of equipment, luggage, and other goodies that we picked up along the way.
And this van took us through all 3,580 miles of the trip. Super comfortable and sweet to drive.
And actually, Moterra offers fully planned itineraries if you'd rather leave the planning to someone else.
Visit gomoterra.com/swell. That's gomoterra.com/swell.
This episode is also brought to you by Taurus. Taurus is leading the charge in home energy storage. Taurus makes it easy to achieve energy independence and a greener tomorrow. The Taurus station provides everything you need to generate clean power, efficiently store electricity, and easily manage your energy use.
And installing a Taurus station offers plenty of benefits, including save money on your electricity bill,
also ensure energy security with backup power during outages,
reduce carbon emissions with renewables.
You can also automate EV charging and HVAC systems with 100% renewables,
and enjoy unrivaled system monitoring and support.
If you like the sound of those benefits, get a quote to build your Taurus station in less than 30 seconds. Super easy at taurus.co. That's TORUS.co. Now, let's get back to the episode.
How long ago was that then? So that was just this year?
Yeah, so we landed in Salt Lake January 1st, and then we were there till April, or through April, and then May we drove over here.
Where are you going next?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Because Gilbert, St. George. Anyway,
What was your favorite? Where was your favorite resort for snowboarding?
No, you're putting me on the spot. I'm trying to remember. Brighton. Yeah. Brighton was probably my favorite for snowboarding because, Powder Mountain actually. So that wasn't on the icon.
Yeah.
But Powder, they don't like me. You're not supposed to talk about it.
Okay.
So, but
you can talk about it
because it's supposed to be everyone there is don't tell anyone. So.
Oh, about how good Powder Mountain is. Yeah.
Because it actually was just powder the whole time. But Brighton was awesome. It was just a really fun vibe. The music they play.
Yeah. So. It's a good spot.
Yeah.
Last question
is, we ask it to everybody. What does it take to create something that has never existed before?
A really good idea, a market, and money.
I love it.
That's it.
It's amazing.
Very concise there.
That's exactly
That was the most concise answer we probably had.
Okay.
It was. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Kiln Road Trip. Be sure to follow along on the rest of the journey, and you can do that in 2 ways. 1, subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or maybe even watching on YouTube, and follow along on all of our social media platforms, whether you're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or TikTok, at the Swell Pod. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next episode.